we have our second guest speaker of the day. He's just going to get wired up. You know when you meet somebody for the first time, I only met Brad about 5 minutes ago, and you get that, you just like feel the energy off somebody straight away. I'm pretty confident that this next talk is going to be full of energy. I know it's going to be interactive, so Brad's going to be talking about, if hopefully get these screens working as well, walking with the elephant, and what does that mean? And to be honest, I will find out over the next hour or so, but it's the big ideas about you, your business, and your people, and how you can use that to drive your business forward. Now, before we go on to Brad as he gets mic'd up, when you leave, whenever you do leave this afternoon, when you exit, if you wish to participate, we are looking for some people to take part in interviews about how the day's gone, just to get some interactive feedback. So as you're exiting, if a camera is thrust in your face, you can turn it down, but if some of you can give a little bit of feedback on camera, that would be absolutely wonderful. So without further ado, if you can put your hands together for me, please, for our next keynote speaker, Brad Waldron.
Thank you. I don't know about you, I was sitting back there listening to, we might have to have 4-day weeks. How many people sat there and said, bugger me, I'm not working any longer? As folks that most of us in this room have probably gone to school, and some of us have even got kids, this scene probably sounds a little familiar to you. There's a knock on the door. Jamie, you lazy sod, get out of bed. You're going to be late for school. Papa, I don't want to go to school. Jamie, get up and go to school. Papa, I'm not going to school. I got 3 reasons why I'm not going to go to school. Number 1, it's boring. Number 2, the teachers don't like me. And number 3, the kids tease me. Jamie, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you must go to school. Number 1, it's your duty as my son. Number 2, you're 40 years old. Number 3, you're the school principal. Get up. I don't know about you, but that story of the principal sometimes feels like me. And getting up in the morning, as much as I love my days, sometimes it takes a little bit more effort than most. Is that true, or is that just my imagination? It's true, right? I was talking to one of my guys yesterday, one of my clients, and I said, Dion, what's exciting for you right now? And he said, today is an exciting day. And I said, what's going on? I'm thinking big client win, big this, big that. And he says, today was only a 15-hour day for me. I've been averaging 17-hour days. And I think, good Lord, you've got to really love what you do in order to step up. Would that be true? Now, when I look at people like us, leaders, people that run businesses, people that help others make good decisions, it's taken me many years to work this out. But what would be my philosophy of my leadership? And it's a very simple philosophy. For me, it's all about, does my leadership help people have a better day? When I say better, I mean more engaged. When I say better, I say more productive. When I say better, I mean more energized. Because if my leadership's not doing that, the question I got for any single one of us in here, what's your leadership actually doing? If it's not helping people be more engaged, productive, happier, what is it doing? Because when we look at HR, when I look at leadership, there's one of 4 things that are generally going on when I work with my people. I'm either multiplying their capability, I'm multiplying their happiness, I'm multiplying how they show up in the morning, or I'm just adding to their day, which is good. But there are some leaders out there who take away, they subtract energy, they subtract capability, they subtract ownership. And then there's, of course, those leaders, well, you know, they're only alive because it's against the law to shoot them, who divide. And dividing is perhaps not a holy way of showing up in the morning. Would that be fair? And you know what? Every one of those signs of maths is a choice. That's the freedom I have that perhaps my pets do not. I can choose whether I do these things, irrespective of what's going on in the world right now. And there's some stuff, you and I, we would never have guessed it, would we? Like, thankfully, someone's eradicated COVID overnight. But the reality is it's still there, but it depends on where your focus is. Today, my focus is this. How do we help people have a better day? Better day for all of us, not just them, but us as well. Now, how many people, when you thought, I'm going to a live conference today, I'm kind of excited. I hope we do role play. Did anyone go, I'm in, fully in? I did this live webinar-y thingy-jig, and I said, we're going to do a little activity where I want you to chat to someone. I'm going to put you in breakout groups. I know there's 100 people, and we're just going to go. And all I want you to do is have a conversation. There's nothing revealing, nothing worrying. Do you know what? We lost 25% of the online thing. You just saw the numbers go bing, 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 bing. And I thought, I achieved my goal today. Bless. But here's what I want to do. I want to, because I think these things, as great as they are, I love these things. I love the panels. Vanessa, wasn't she electric? Was that my imagination? Do you think she makes shit up? Nah, she's just, that's what you see is what you get. And it's fabulous. But the thing that I love about these is the conversations. Because it's the conversations that are the relationship. If you and I just talking about stuff like the weather, that's our relationship. But if we talk about stuff that matters, that's the relationship. And I wonder how many of us are really doing that. Really doing that. Talking to the head and the heart. So I'm going to put you in the challenge arena. So imagine this. We're going to be, in fact, turn to the person. Would you mind talking to the person beside you? Is that okay? Choose the person that's better looking. Hang on. I can't believe, hang on. I cannot believe that some people went, no. That is so rude. That's so rude. So here's the thing. Imagine we have a great day, right? We celebrate and we think, what a fantastic day. And let's go out for a meal and be happy. And then we have a meal and we go, you know what? Today's been good. Let's go and have a few sherbets. I fancy a dry sherry. Let's have a dry sherry. And they're walking down a beautiful street behind us here, and we're headed towards London Bridge. And there's this party going on in this beautiful building, like a Victorian thing. And there's people hanging out the window, and you think, that's actually a toga party. It really is. There's a toga party going on. And the people are hanging out the window, and they say, hey, listen, you two. We want you both into our party. And you're in. You're my type of guy. So here's the thing. Here's the dilemma. One of you is the Puritan that just goes, I am not going to this toga party. I can't step over this threshold. It is not me. We are not going in. The other of you is going to be the heathen that just says, Brad, this is my moment. This is what I'm born for. And if you're born for this, we're going in. But you're going to have a 30-second discussion, an active discussion, no acts of violence. And I want you to try to convince each other why you should either go or not go. It's as simple as that. But here's the point. 30 seconds in, I'm going to go, switch. The heathen becomes the Puritan becomes the heathen. You've got to swap roles instantly. Is that okay with folks? Now, there's going to be some of us sitting there going, I'm more of an observer to these type of events. And if that's you, that's fine. Don't feel you're left out of the party, but I would love you just to be in the conversation. This is bad as it gets when it comes to role play, okay? So we're not going to be asking you to come up on stage and go, all right, here's a scenario I want you. No, just get engaged with this, right? Turn up, show up, switch on. Is that cool? So decide who's who in the zoo. You've got 30 seconds, folks, and then I'm switching you. Let's go. Switch. Sababa, time. Shh, folks, well done. Hey, the energy was pretty low, I must admit. Were you engaged in the activity? Just so that I know who my friends are in the room. Who are the people that are actually going? Do you know what? Listen, let me ask you a question. Well, I did this with a big law firm, right? I was in New York City, and I'm doing this with a law firm, and I'm standing here, and I'm listening to two litigators, and they're going at it, right? And I listened to one guy and he's going, the way you said that sounds absolutely positively. And I went, switch! And he went, delightful. Now, let me ask you a question. Was it easy to argue both cases? It is. What makes it easy? Just pretend we're old mates. What makes it easy? It's not. Who said that? Not real. Well, my dear friend, I have an agenda item later that you didn't see.
We make chart because our big phrase is it depends. So we always do both sides of the...
The similarity of you and a lawyer is extreme. It depends. But yeah, right, it's not real. It's not going to happen. And do you know what? It's a toga party. I don't mind. I saw the film Animal House. I would probably like to go to that, but it doesn't bother me either way. And the only time you do have an opinion about it, right or wrong, is probably when it affects some part of your moral fiber. Would that be fair? Yeah. And that's a good truth. That's a good truth. So if that's the truth, let's go somewhere different with this. Who's this guy? Lance Armstrong. What's he famous for? Oh. Now there be a bias I hear. What's he famous for? Arguably winning the hardest race of humankind, the Tour de France, not once, twice, 3 times a lady, but 7 times. And in between those times, he actually had testicular cancer, came back, and I've seen skeletons look healthier than him, and still can get out and do that stuff. But he's also famous for using things to help the bike go faster. Right? And then he went on a talkback television show, which we know is the home of spiritual clarity. And he spoke to Oprah and said, hey, there's something I want to tell you. There's something that helped my bike go faster. And he thought purging would exonerate him, or whatever the case may be. So here's the thing. One of you is going to be pro-Lance or Lance. The other will be anti-Lance or Lance. And again, 30 seconds, and then we're going to be doing a switch. Just notice the energy change in you as you tackle this one. Is that okay, gang? All right, decide who's who in the zoo. Let's go to that place. You've got 30 seconds. Let's go. Switch! Switch! Sababa time, yeah. Okay, good job. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you. So remarkably, the energy was fairly similar to the first one, which concerns me a little. But did you find that it was much easier to take a position over another position and hold it? The driver behind that position is what? Morals, your perception, and the difference between right and wrong. I come from the world of a few different worlds, but the world that I'm referring to now is the world of sports performance. I've had the good fortune of winning 3 national titles, 1 world title. And I know that when it gets to that level where it's just you and a handful of other folks that is in contention for the title, people do whatever it takes to be able to win. Now, I'm not that guy, but it was his decision. But when we come in to have these active discussions, my values show up. My values turn up. They turn up cleaner. I'm crisper. I know what to say yes to and what to say no to. And because of that, it gives me energy. And if my values are at loggerheads with what's going on in front of me, my engagement dwindles. Would that be true? Yeah. So being values-led in my leadership is just as important as helping people have a better day. Because have a look at this for a moment. This is the race route from 2021. Now, I'm not a cyclist. Looking at the shape of me, you can see that. Lycra does not look good at me at any time of day or night. But do you know this race, this route changes every year. And do you know where this race is won and lost? Someone said to me, France, yesterday. And I love a flash of the blindingly obvious. But where it's won, yes, it's won and lost in the mountains. The mountains. And just to give you a perspective of why it is, have a look at this. This is like one of the legs. And these are what I call points of tears moments. At what point do I start crying on this route? Because you've got 178 kilometers. For the first 113 kilometers, you're sort of soldering uphill. And I don't know about you, but I'd get off and push the bike at some point, right? And just when you think, wow, my legs are starting to get that sort of lactic acid burn, someone hits you with a hill that's going to take you up 3,000 feet. And when I say a hill, it's like a ladder shaft. And then you come down the other side, you freewheel it, but you're not freewheeling, you're still pedaling like a bear's chasing you. And just when you get to the bottom, you've got another 3,000 to get up. And just when you think two's enough, a third comes along, but it's not going to be 3,000 feet. It's going to be close to 6,000 feet, 6,500 feet of straight up. And see, you know, when the life is good on the flats, I'm probably the best leader in the world. What about you? When the sun is shining, cash flow's good, my teams love me, my clients are placing repeat orders, and there's no drama. I'm awesome. But when I'm in the mountains, that's when my leadership matters the most. My dad always used to say, the adversity in life, it certainly will not develop you, it will reveal you. And that's a truth a lot of our people are playing with right now. And this is what I'm seeing in most workforces. To talk to Dion yesterday, and his massive achievement was a 15-hour day. Man, would your heart bleed a little bit? Mine did when I heard that. And he's not a one-off, would you agree? People, we're all a little bit more exhausted than what we were this time last year. And there's nothing going to change in the foreseeable future. So how do we keep energy in a great place? We love our folks and we help them turn up. And that's the purpose of today. What are the simple little gifts that we can bring into conversations, engagement, and just the way that we help people have a better day? So I'm not a big engagement guy, but I am a big leadership guy. And that's the space I play at. Because if I want my athletes to be winning national and international championships, I need them to have the edge when they need it the most. And the edge isn't about force-fitting a shoe on someone where it doesn't fit. So with that in mind, folks, knowing where our people would plot themselves on this route emotionally is just as important as knowing where their goals and aspirations are. And I did a check-in yesterday with the client I was working with, and I just said, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's business for you right now? 10 is I feel like a rock star. 1 is I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, you know. and a scale of 1 to 10, how are you in life, right? How are you in life? And sitting there, and we've got the senior leaders in the room and some junior leaders, and just a good cross-section of people. Had this CEO in the room, and this one guy said, I'm a 5 and a 5. And the CEO did a double take at him, and you could see he wanted to jump on him for the simple reason of 5 and a 5. Tell me that. What's the story behind the number? And I said to Gus, the CEO, afterwards, I said, geez, what did you think of Pab's numbers? And he said, I had no idea. I had no idea. And I said, well, what's the unintended consequences from that? And he said, I've got a guy at risk. I've got a guy that's not happy. I've got a guy that's not fulfilling his own life. That's my social responsibility as well as commercial responsibility. I think that's a powerful point. Powerful point. Social and commercial. A friend of mine, a guy called Colin Hall, he used to run a business called Waldron in South Africa. 63,000 employees. And one of his areas, there was a township that basically he employed the whole township. And a bad weather condition came out and it flattened the whole township. And Colin said, we have a social responsibility to rebuild the township. And his board of directors said, that's outside the parameter of commercial responsibility. He said, no, we have a responsibility to society. We will build. And after that night, when he had a little bit of revolt that we're not going to do it because it's going to cost us, he sacked the whole board. Sacked the whole board. He said, I will not tolerate that. This is one South Africa. It's the only way we can move forward as one. So we need to build. And Colin, you know, some leaders, they can walk into the room and light it up. Would that be true? It's the smile, the greet, the handshake, their presence. Some leaders, they only light up the room when they leave, right? They're the dividers. They're the dividers. So That partner you were just doing stuff with, do me a favor. This is just a 1-minute conversation, but there's 2 questions I want to ask you, and this comes from my beautiful friends at the CFO Center. They realize whilst they help people manage their numbers and build their future, they realize that when they talk to business owners, these 2 questions are critical. What do you want your business to do for you? What's important to you about that? Would you be willing to have that conversation with the person beside you? It doesn't matter what role you have in life, what role you have in business, but if you sat there and just went, I work for this company, what do I want it to do for me? Apart from pay me a salary, what would I want? What would actually make my heart fan with happiness, my head inspire with fireworks? Do me a favor. Would you just have a 1-minute conversation between the 2 of you? You can go as shallow as you like, or you can hop in the deep end. I don't mind. But just reflect on that just for a moment. Just 1 minute. Can we have that? Let's go. Sababa, yalla, yalla. Time. Did you notice the energy was somewhat similar to the toga? I hope you don't mind me asking, but I would just love a couple of things around what did you hear from someone, or what did you say? I know we're not going to facilitate a workshop on this, but I do want to get a sense of what was on your mind. Would someone just yell out a couple of points, ma'am?
My colleague just points out about the 4-day week situation.
Yes.
That actually it gives them more time to recharge. 2 days isn't enough.
Okay. If you didn't hear that, a 4-day work situation would be good because 2 days is not enough to recharge with. Like, that's powerful.
A lot longer, generally, I feel, working a lot longer in a day.
We are working a lot longer in a day. We don't have the off button like we used to. Actually, we have pressure. It's a whole different topic. But for me, one of the things that's really important to me as a leader is establishing boundaries. Yeah, boundaries across a whole lot of different domains. And one of them about when to turn off is an important boundary to establish. With clarity, because clarity is kind. What else, folks? A couple more. Two more. Ma'am. Oh, recognition. You want recognition. Thank you for that. Ma'am? Sense of purpose, feeling being successful. Enjoyment, all right? Simple little things, but they're meaningful things. Great examples. Did anyone say, what I want the business to do for me is give me greater Excel skills? I want to spend more time looking at my carbon copy emails, the ones I've been CC'd on. That's where the magic lies. No one says that. But the reality is you want some important things. I want to share with you a couple of things today that are important, and it's about what I call walking with the elephant. There's many books that have probably inspired us in our time, and I was really lucky in my life. I worked for a guy called Dr. Stephen Covey, who wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I was one of the regional managing directors of that business in the 90s, and it's instrumental and it's very influential. But a book that I loved, it was written in 2006, was this book here. Whoops, there. It's having a bit of Tourette's, isn't it? This book here, called The Happiness Hypothesis. Now, I'm not going to invite you to go and read it. It is one of the few books that I read that I thought was interesting and very good, but I love the parable the person used in the book, and that was even stronger for me. Because the happiness hypothesis, written by this academic called Jonathan, was all about what are some of the big key religion ideas and what do they all have in common around how they create happiness. And I think that's not novel, but it's also very powerful. I think Derren Brown's book on happiness is extremely good because it's very stoic and it looks at the reality. And I also like Sean Ahor's book on the happiness advantage, and it was basically a distillation of 7 key things that came out as his result of looking after Harvard students to get them through their 4 years of tough schooling. So all these things are great and they all point towards the same direction. But what I liked about this guy is he talks the parable of what we call the elephant, the rider, and the path. Because inside that, it's like saying that the rider, has anyone ridden one of these majestic animals? I'm a bit of a wildlife photographer, and I travel looking for these guys and girls and people in the world, and I love the notion of a great big elephant. And because when you come face to face with one of these things in the wild, I've got to tell you, there's nothing more majestic, but there's also nothing more scary, because I'm on my feet, the elephant's there, and the elephant looks at you as if you owe him money, right? And you just think, oh, good Lord, have my pockets. But what he spoke about was this for all of us in here. Inside each one of us, there's a beautiful rider, someone that consciously thinks about what's important to them about life, how they make decisions, how they solve problems, the rational engagement of life. I know the difference between right and wrong. I know what I need to do today. I know the vision of the business. I know what I need to execute on. But inside every rider that people sit on in this instance is the elephant. And the elephant's that emotional self. It's the self of you that just, if it doesn't feel good, you don't show up. You show up physically, but perhaps not emotionally. The elephant in us is that unconscious 7-year-old in us that needs to feel safe, needs to feel secure, needs to feel nurtured. And if I'm not feeling those things, the rider in me is less resourceful. But it manifests through my rider behavior. The third aspect is actually providing a path and shaping a path. So we have a direction to go in. We have clarity, but we also get the certainty that reinforces and makes things safe for an elephant. Because if you're on the back of an elephant and you're traveling down a park and that elephant can smell the tiger, I ain't going down there. No matter how much you try to coerce it, the ellie ain't going. And if you've ever seen any of those YouTube clips where they're looking for tigers and they're sitting on the back of these folks, the elephant knows long before the rider can see. Now, for you and I, we might call it that our intuition. We know. And for us, for me as a leader, I've got to make sure I do all 3 of these things. I've got to direct my riders, I've got to motivate my elephants, and I've got to shape the path. Now, I know a guy's done some work, he talks about the chimp paradox, I think it is. Yeah, and that's a really great piece of work. What I love about this is I've been in Uganda, I've looked at chimps, and I think if that kicks off between me and this chimp, I'd have a go. But with the elephant, not a chance. Not a chance. I jest, by the way. But the reality is the elephant is infinitely stronger than all of us collectively. So what do we got to do in order to show up? Now, here's the good question for you. With those conversations that you just had with your partner, what was the ratio of your conversation of elephant versus rider in your distinctions? Were you talking about the things like connection, significance, all the feeling stuff? Or were you talking about the functional achievement and demonstrative, tangible results? My experience is it's probably more weighted towards the elephant. We need both, but it's often more weighted. Because when I have a good one-to-one with you and I say, hey, tell me what you want this business to do for you, the answer generally starts with the rider, but it goes to the elephant. Does that make sense? I want to be clear about what you expect of me. I want the resources to do my job well. I want to be with people I like. I want to do meaningful work. The elephant soon comes to the party. And if we don't get the opportunity for the elephant to come out, it sometimes feels like I'm walking with my legs tied together, not with my full capability. Any sporting athlete in the room, you will know that unless your elephant is talking well to your rider, you've got impaired performance. If the elephant's frightened, the rider doesn't turn up. And if the rider doesn't turn up, the path can't be seen. So some of the things that we need to do to develop or direct the rider, we need to help the rider follow the bright spots, we need to script the critical moves, and we need to help them point to where the destination is. And that will give them clarity, right? But what I'd like to do today is activate some of this. Activate it by giving you a couple of experiences. Because here's the thing. For me, the map is the way the rider sees the future. And I love this quote by Proust, which just simply says this: the voyage of discovery begins not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. And too often we're trying to change landscapes and realize the real change occurs in your eyes, how you see the world. If I look at what Vanessa shared this morning, she was showing me new eyes, because there was stuff she said I just had no idea about. Just didn't. And it's not because I'm not up to date, it's just because I didn't think about that. You know, I got in trouble at one conference because I opened the conference with, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And I didn't realize I excluded people. And so it's my responsibility and accountability to do something about that and change it. So now I don't greet anyone. No, I jest. I don't. It's not true. It's not true. So have a look at this for a moment. What's this a map of? Where did that accent come from? Where did that mocking accent come from? Australia.
It's a real one.
Yeah, good on you. Tell us a little bit about your prison record. So this is what Australia looked like back in the year 1627, right? The Dutch got there long before the English did. And this is the map. And if you look at it, Tasmania was still attached to the mainland 400 years ago. But if you look at a map of Australia now, it sort of looks like this. And if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, Tassie is significantly away from the mainland. Now, I often say, what do you suppose happened in the last 400 years to cause Tassie to be so far away? And then I did this with a company, an IT company, I won't tell you who. They got 4 colours in their logo on their boxes. And I had the grad intake and I said to them, what do you suppose happened? And someone said continental drift. That happened. I said, it's possible. Another one said, no, it was climate change. It's a thing. See, Trump's wrong. And I said, well, that's possibly right. But the reality is, we've got a better fucking map. We've got a better map. We see the world through a better map. Because imagine this for a moment. Imagine if I get this row of great folks at the front and I put you in a yacht and it's a great vessel. And I get a friend of mine called Ellen who's a great sailor and she trains you in this modern yacht to start in a place we call the Great Australia Bight. I want you to get to Sydney. You could do it. Ellen trained you. You become fantastic. You've got great skills, capabilities. You're on it. But here's your map. There's a strong probability you would take that route. Would that be fair? There's a strong probability. But alongside you, this group here gets the same training from Ellen. And Ellen makes you champion sailors, same yacht, same everything, same capability, same competencies. But what we do is we give you this map. You start at the same place. I want you to get to Sydney. There's a strong likelihood the folks over here would do what? Take that route. Would that be fair? So my question for you is, who's going to get to Sydney faster if all weather conditions are the same? Second crew, right? Not because they're better, not because they've got better facilities, not because they were trained better. It's because their map enables them to make better decisions. Better decisions mean better outcomes. And for me, if I want to direct the rider and a lot of my teams, I've got to understand what their maps are, how they show up. Because from my world of the days of Stephen Covey, what you see in the world will determine what you do, and what you do will deliver what you get. Covey used to say, if you want small changes in your organization, change your behaviors, you'll get change. But the largest changes occur when we change our maps. And what are our maps? Our maps are beliefs, perceptions, the way we see the world, our biases, all those things. Maps can exist strategically. What's the map of the organization? What's the map of the way that our culture works together? What's my map about how I see you? Because if I see you as a champion, how do I treat you? Like a champion. But if I see you as someone that's taking up a payroll number, how do I treat you? That's engagement. And it's driven by your map. Because I could have the best skills in the world, the best HR systems, but my map determines how I use them and how I show up. Is that fair? And that's a really big thing for me. So when I'm working with folks, whether they be a chief exec, whether they be someone competing for a world championships, I got to look at their map first. The map, before I go after their behavior, what's their map say right now? Let me give you a commercial example. For me, when I first started work, I was working for a company that imported wholesale and retail. We used to go to trade fairs every year. We do 7 of them. And this one chap said to my boss at the time, he said, "Bob, how was the trade fair for you this year?" And Bob said, "Not too bad. How was it for you, Dino?" Dino said it was the best ever. We got 550 sales leads. Bob said, "Geez, that sounds like a lot, right?" And Dino said, "How many did you get, Bob?" Bob said, "I don't know, not many, I don't think." Dino was perplexed. He said, "How come? Your stand was always busy." And Bob said, "Well, I don't know, Dino. We got 320 orders." At that point, I thought we were the cats that had the cream. He's got sales leads. He hadn't even converted anything. We've got sales right now, cash in the bank. That was my ignorance, because when I learned this stuff from Covey, what was Dino's map? Dino's map was about exhibitions that build contacts. Our map was about to do business. We're there to do deals. So what did we do? We put salespeople on the stand. We put promotions. You buy today, you get free into-store shipping. What did Dino do? He put pretty promotional stuff on the stand that elicited business cards. We've all walked past them, have we? And we get lured in by the chocolate on there. And I'm not saying anything about the stands outside. Because I got to tell you, there's a lot of good chocolate out there. And there's cups. But it's got nothing to do with the capability. It's got everything to do with the map. How do you see the world? Because what I get, well, we got 320 orders. Dino got 550 sales leads. No, we're not better than Dino. Dino's not better than us. The map determines the outcome. Because we align all behaviors to the map. What's our map on leadership? What's our map on engagement? What's our map on fairness, bias, and everything else? Because I can tell by the way you greet me, tells me a lot about your map. The way you talk to me and what we talk about is your map. It's all about your reference points. You know, it's as simple as that. So when we think of those things, how do we think about our business, but also how do we think about our life? Because what I see is what I do is what I get. So simple, but this is probably more powerful than any of Stephen Covey's 7 habits. But it all starts with my levels of proactivity and the way that I show up. Because let me show you a very quick example of how this could work. Are there any people in here that perhaps are first on the dance floor when they go out? Would you mind coming out front for me? Come on, if you're first on the dance floor, you don't feel bad about that. Anyone on this side of the room first on the dance floor? Can I borrow you? Can I borrow you? Could you please come out and just come up on stage? Can you give them a round of applause, just a little bit of encouragement? Come. Thank you. Now, I'm not going to be funny, but from earlier on when Vanessa was talking about stuff, there's a distinct lack of type of people up here. And you know I'm talking to. Can I get anyone over here, because we've got some space here. Can I just get anyone? I'm normally first on the dance floor. Come on up. Listen, are there any fellas that want to sort of balance out this? JP, you're not too vocal now. Come on up. All right. Great, stay there. Thank you, JP, thank you. I watch the in-betweeners too. Awesome. Okay, folks, find a bit of space that you wouldn't touch anybody if you did that, and just point straight out in front. Point out and straight in front with your dominant hand, if that's okay. That's great. We're all righties. Is that right? Yeah, great. I'm going to ask you to turn to what I call your soft limit. Your soft limit is where you naturally just stop. Right? So if my right arm's up, I'm going to turn to, well, if my arm's up, my right arm's up, I'm going to turn to the right. So if my soft limit where I naturally stop, it's easy. That's where I would stop. Where would you stop? Turn to your soft limit. That's it. And then come back to center. Notice where that was. And what I'd love you to do is drop your arm, free movement back to your arm, but close your eyes. I'll stand still. Close your eyes and trust me. And what I'd love you to do, in your imagination, because it's your imagination, with your eyes closed, go around to that place in your imagination, just with your imagination. There you go. Thank you. In your imagination, go to that place and come back to center. Please go one more time in your imagination, but go further still. Because it's your imagination, you can go much further. And then come back to center. There you go. Well done. Let's do it one more time in your imagination. But imagine you can go a full 360 degrees. There you go. It's just your imagination. Then come back to center. Well Done. Open your eyes for me. Thank you. Point straight out in front this time. What I'd like you to do now is turn freely and notice where you go. Turn freely, notice where you stop. Come back to center. No, you didn't think you were going to get a bit of stage hypnosis, did you? No, okay, so was there any difference between the first and second time? What was the difference that made the difference? Was it because they warmed up? What was it about? It could be their imagination, you're absolutely right. It could be the fact that I led the witness because I went there and then I went there. It could be that. But the central point on all of this, folks, is simply this. What you focus on is what you get. And your map was about going further. And I've never seen anyone do 360 degrees until this morning, so thank you. But it wasn't just a 10% improvement, was it? It was quite significant. And the difference between this and another time, on the first time, was a simple decision. The decision, all things happened twice, first mentally, then physically. And what I did was I tried to influence their map to see further. Then the behaviors followed. Does that sort of make sense? And this is why I'm big on maps, because it helps me help others see more possibilities so they can make better decisions. They make better decisions, they live a better life. And that's a great, for me, it's a great place. Because if I've got people that see the world as a restricted space, the world as a place that has finite resource in terms of achievement, where people think it's dog eat dog, that's what we get in the behavior. But if I see the world as infinitely full of possibilities, these fine folks up here is what I get. Ladies and gents, could you give these folks a good round of applause, everyone? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for that. So, what has that got to do with us? When it comes to shaping the map, question I ask, what's your map? What's your map of leadership? What's your map of engagement? What's your map of setting people up for success, setting them up for a great, happy life? Well, that's directing the rider, but if we wanted to spend a little bit more time with the elephant so that we can help them find the feeling of what they're doing so it feels great, if I can help them shrink the fear of stepping out, stepping forward, if I can show them an apple, what could be in it for them, I'm going to get more engagement. Apart from working for Stephen Covey, I also worked for another guy called Tony Robbins back in the 90s. He was an interesting guy, and he still is interesting today. And he brought something to my attention that I'd never really considered before, which is the fact is we all have kind of interesting and significant needs. And then when my needs are being met, I tend to turn up more. I tend to belong to that club and not that club. In my sporting habits and hobbies, there's a martial art I play, which is called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's a few clubs in my vicinity, but there's one club I feel more at home with. That's because I get my needs met. Let me tell you and share with you 6 needs that I think influence where I go versus where I don't go. And this is an important part of my engagement. Because everyone in this room at some level has a need for love and connection. Would that be fair? I like to know that when I see you, I see you. It's nice. I feel as if I belong. I feel as though that I'm connected. I feel as though I've got someone who would do the A, B, C, and D of life for me. They'd go above and beyond the call of duty. They're good people, right? They're good people because I'm connected to them. If I'm not connected to you, I go, good luck. If I'm connected to you, I step into the breach with you. But paradoxically, as much as I need to feel connected, I also need to feel significant. I like to be recognized. I like to achieve things. I like a pat on the back. I like that little certificate that says, I was kind of good. Whether it be a gold medal or whatever the case may be, we like to feel that we make someone's life better. But they paradoxically coexist. What I also need is I need to feel certain. I need to know that you'll pay me this month. I need to know where I belong in the organization. I need to know what you expect of me. I need to feel safe in my place of work. But you know what? If I get too much of that, what do I crave? Bit of variety. How many of us go out for a night? Let's say we go to a curry house. This is where it happens the most. And you get the menu. You look at the menu and you go, what am I going to have? Oh, same as every night, really. How many people do that? Right? So you're more certain. Why do you do that? Because you're certain what you're going to get. And then there's folks go, I've got no idea what this is, but let's try it. High need for variety. But if you get too much variety in your life, what do you crave? Certainty. You get too much certainty, what do you crave? Exactly. And some of us need more variety than others. Some need more certainty than others. For me, I don't need much certainty at all in life. I need a lot of variety. But if I get too much, I start to crave a little bit of certainty. Some folks need a lot of certainty. and they can't deal with variety, so they go anti-change. They resist those things. If you get these 4 needs met, guess what you get? You get happiness, you get good. So if I go to, let's say, a jiu-jitsu club where I've got a connection, I've got people, I call them PLMs, people like me, and I feel significant because I'm doing good stuff and I'm achieving things. And then I know that every Tuesday and Thursday night it's on, so I've got something to look forward to. I've got certainty in that. And I get variety because I'm always learning new stuff. That's a great club for me. But what gives me fulfillment of these 2 needs? The need of growth. The need of growth. I need to feel as though that I'm growing. If you're doing exit interviews with someone, this is the most common area that people will tell me why they're leaving. Brad, the opportunity here. It's too samey. I need something new, fresh challenge. But you know what? I need to feel as if I'm growing. I'm not growing anymore. And the second need, when people want to make a difference, I heard it earlier on. I have the need for, I want to contribute. I want to do something a little bit better. We're not talking about anything that's happening over the pond at the moment, but how much contribution is being pouring out from people about what they want to do. How can I help? How can I support? That's contribution. And contribution for me is like significance on steroids for the simple reason that I'm going to do it and not expect any return. Whereas when I'm doing it for significant reasons, I want the adulation. But when I'm contributing, I'm doing it and I'm blessing. It's like leaving a garden better off than when I found it. And I think as a leader, these are the 6 things that are really critical to me. When you think of why you do what you do, you think of those conversations you were having. How many of those were wrapped up in your needs? How many of your needs were wrapped up? I want to feel recognized. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel as if I belong. I want to know that I'm going to get paid. I want to know that there's a job for me after COVID. Hey, I need a little bit of funkiness in my life, a little bit of variety. I need to feel as if I'm growing because right now I've mastered the law of tables in Excel. I want to go to PowerPoint. Or whatever the case may be. And I want to do something that's better for all of us. And no one will ever know. 6 needs, 6 ways to change someone's life. And you can build better maps. So is that useful? I think it's really powerful. But it's so simple. When I talk to folks and when I see folks do dorky stuff in the workplace, where they form unholy alliances and they create silos, or people put other people down in public, or people resist change, it's often one or a combination of those needs not being met. You resist change? You haven't got enough certainty right now. Or you need to be too certain. You put me down in front of other people to make yourself look big? Well done. You got your significance need met. I come up to someone, hey, listen. I heard them talking about you during the break. Did you know? What am I doing? Creating a connection, but I'm doing it through a negative way. So when I see that stuff happening, I go, what need's not being met right now? And if I could turn that need on, just like a good gene, I can create health. I can create health. And my job as a good leader is to do that. So folks, with that in mind, what's something else that makes one hell of a difference is how you show up. So listen, do you mind we have a little bit of fun as we start to get towards the only thing between me and lunch, or you and lunch, is me. So underneath your chair, we've placed a playing card. Would you be kind enough just to have a look at your playing card? But don't let anyone see your playing card. It's just you. There's 2 cards. One has a fawny brown background, but get the playing card for now. All right, so secretly have a look at your card, and that's your card. So here's what we're going to do. I'd love you to work with a buddy on this. You can stand or sit. It's up to you. Champion, can I borrow you? Yeah, come on. You just stood straight up, right? Good to see you.
Hey, you too.
Where do you live?
Sydney.
Sydney.
Yeah.
Good job. Whereabouts?
Near the Blue Mountains.
That's not Sydney, dude.
Well, I mean, it is. It's like Greater Sydney. There we go.
It's whoop whoop.
I live back at Burke.
There you go. I've been away for, oh my gosh, since 1989, and I still love the little vernacular we have, right? Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, they don't understand a word we're saying.
No. Suffice to say, where he lives is where the cheap houses are. Most beautiful place in the world. Beautiful. Okay, so listen, let's pretend I don't know your card and you don't know my card. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a conversation about, do you remember the first thing? What do you want your business to do for you? We're going to have that conversation again. But right now, I've got a card, right? I've got a 3 of hearts. Is that a high card or a low card? Low card. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a conversation about what I want the business to do for me. But I'm going to talk positively. but I'm going to do it with the energy of a 3. So it sounds something like this. You know, listen, when I think of what I want the biz to do for me, I tell you it's life-changing. I wake up in the morning and I just think, how can I make a difference in the world where people have that smile where they previously wouldn't, where we can help really change lives, you know, so that people get more juice out of life. That's what matters to me. Okay, so my words are what? Positive, but what's my energy like? Low, exactly. I'm being the 3. So here's the thing. Let me pull another card. What's my next card? I've just got a queen. I pulled a queen. It's not my first. Rugby tour doesn't count, does it? So, with the queen, what's the energy of the queen? It's high. Man, when I think of today, I was so excited because from the business, what I want to do for me is so that I can have my best day every day. Where I can look forward to Mondays and I go, it's Monday today, I get to work. That's my idea. That's what I want my company to do for me. That's all I want you to do. I want you to be the card. Now, when I say be the card, you really can't distinguish between a club and a spade and a heart and a diamond. Don't worry about that. Just be the number. Now, a couple of things. Number 1, there's aces out there. You can choose high or low. That's your choice. Not only is there aces out there, there's jokers. And the rule of a joker is you choose the card number. So if you've got a joker, you get to choose. It's dealer's choice. But you're only going to do this for 30 seconds, so just muscle up and have a go. But when you do it, both do it at the same time. So if I got the 3, I'm going to listen to you like a 3. If I got the queen, I'll listen. But I want it to be two-way. Don't sit there and go, you go, I go. Let's both go. Not talk over each other. Let's have a normal conversation. But be the card. What were you going to... Oh, no, you can't show me. Do you want that card or do you want another one?
Yeah, you have to give me another one, yeah.
You take the one you want. Seriously?
Yeah, I like a challenge.
Yeah, I've underestimated you. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, folks, you got 30 seconds. Let's go. Yummy. Now choose, now decide their card. Guess their card. Do a reveal. Guess their card and their reveal. Sababa, time. All right, so here's the thing. Who got it right within 1 or 2? Who got it right within 1 or 2? Most of us. Who was 3 or more out? 3 or more out, and honestly, yeah, great. What was the card? What was the guess?
I guessed 10, but it was 7.
Oh my gosh, so you had a 7, she guessed 10, so you upped your roll. Awesome. What was the card? What was the guess? You can't help yourself. That's what I know about you. You just light up wherever you go. Glitter follows with sparkles and love. That's awesome. Any other guesses? That was way off. Ma'am? Hang on, did I hear right? She was a 7, but you guessed 4. Yeah, no, listen, don't let your heart be troubled, because at this point I need to say, this is an introvert's nightmare, right? It really is. And listen, away from here, introversion is my choice. That's where I go. That's my energy. Up here, I know I can't be introverted. So I not battle at all, but I just do it. But when I leave here, I put headphones on, but I don't listen to anything, right? Do you know what that means? No bugger talks to me. And I don't get asked things. I don't get stopped in the street. And it's just nice. It's the way that I recharge. It's my recharge. But here's the silly little lesson from this. Everywhere you go, you play a card. But the freedom you've got is you choose the card. That's my choice. That's my freedom that no one takes from me. Now, I'm not saying run around and be something that's irresponsible and not you. But what I am saying is be aware of the card you choose, because how you show up to me influences my map. And I respond to the card, because we all know that silly little expression, I don't remember what you said, I don't remember what you did, but I do remember how you made me feel. And I think that's one of the gifts that we have, whether we be in HR, whether we be leaders. Because if I ask people to say, hey, what's your map of HR folk? It should be dependent upon not the role, but the person. Rightly or wrongly, but the choice I've got is how I show up. How I greet the people when I arrive this morning, how I go home, how you and I interact. That's my choice, that's my freedom. And if Winston Churchill said, listen, when he was asked, are you more of an optimist or a pessimist? And he said, probably be more of an optimist, because there's little point in being anything else. But he's also the guy that said, by the age of 50, you got the face you deserve. And I like the truth in that. So my question for you is just a simple one. Where do you need to play a higher card right now? Where and with whom? So when I talk to great chief execs, great leaders of businesses, and I get to work with a good chief exec community quite a lot, I go, so imagine I'm a new client or a potential investor, or a war on talent's huge right now, and you want this person. What card do you play when you meet them? Guess what card they say? It's a high card, right? High card. Let's say you've had a day where you've been firefighting, you've been doing this, doing that, and then you go home. What card do you play when the key goes in the door and you walk in? Hi, honey, I'm home. Do you know what the national average is? When I ask them to, I'd show of hands on a scale of 1 to 10, what card do they play? Guess what the number is? It's a 4. It's a 3 or a 4. And I go, let me get this right. The card you play to the people who love you the most is your 3. 3. That's the choice. Now, I'm not saying you're not exhausted, but I know for the first 15 minutes I get home, I could play a higher card. I know I could do it. For me, the way I play a higher card is I take my phone, come into my house, there's a clock here, there's a little box there, my phone goes into the box. That's my commitment to play a higher card, because now I'm present. I'm not just going, let me just check one more thing. But for engagement, how do we play higher cards with folks? So underneath your chair is just that simple little, another Aussie passport. Is that yours? We're not in Sydney, are we? It's better than the one I got. So underneath your seats, just a little brownie fawny card. Would you grab that for us, if you'd be so kind? Yeah. And if you've already got it in your hand, here's what I want you to do. Think about this. You don't have to do this, but this is my ask of you. My ask of you is simply this. Where do you need to play a higher card, and with whom? And if you're going to commit to it, write it on that card. Make a little public declaration to yourself. You don't have to. This is one of Brad's little things. And if that's the case, where could you play a higher card in life? Is it with your partner? Is it in meetings? Is it when you get on the tube? Whatever you do, where could I play a high card that's better for you and better for others? I'm not saying if my card is normally a 7, if I'm not playing, I'm not talking about a 7, I'm going to play an ace. But go to 7 to a 9, I could do that consistently. Could you? I was working with a chap. He was a CFO. Did this card exercise with him. Oh my gosh, at a big conference like this. Later on, a year later, I see him. He gets out his wallet and he goes, Brad, I want to show you something. Inside his wallet was an ace. And I said, what are you doing with that? And he said, I stole it from you last year. I said, are you returning it? And he says, no, it's mine now. And I said, well, why have you got it, Andy? And he said, this card reminds me simply this. I've lived life through the lens and the map of a CFO. My paradigm was wrong. I'm actually a leader first. CFO is what I do, but who I am is a leader. And I need to prioritize my leadership over the function, because if I'm a better leader, I'm a better CFO. This simple little dog-eared card reminds me of that. So that's my invitation for all of us in here. Find a reason to play a higher card. And by the way, did anyone have a joker out here? Any jokers out there? What card did you choose? Okay, so the answer was, what card did you play? She goes, I really struggled. So you just played something and see what happened. And what about yours, ma'am? Oh, sorry. 2. You had a joker and you chose a 2. Yes. That's a whole new debrief. But my invitation for you is to create a little bit of path for yourself. Because if we can create a path, we can help deliver and light the way, because the card we choose determines whether or not we light the way. Are we an example or a statistic? And by doing that, we build capability. And if we can build capability, we can rally a really great herd. There's a wonderful guy I know called Benjamin Zander, and he talks about how can we get more enjoyment out of a life. He teaches at the Boston Conservatory. He conducts at the Philharmonic. And before every semester, he says to his students, listen, the biggest concern that you've got is whether or not you get an A this year. Would that be fair? And everyone goes, yes. He goes, I'm going to make life easy for you. I'm giving you all an A. Now let's take that pressure off the table so you can be a great musician. But what I need you to do before we start this year is I want you to write me a letter. And in that letter, I want you to tell me what you did in order to earn your A. What did you do this year to help you earn your A? And that's my invitation for all of us in here. What are you going to do to earn your A with your people, with your teams, with your systems? Because if we think this year is about getting an A, we build a phenomenal capability, a phenomenal workforce. We help people have a better life. And that's what is the essence for leadership. Take me 30 years to work that one out, and I'm still trying to work it out. So folks, from me to you, I want to thank you for the hour. I hope it's been good and you've had time to think and to reflect. But ultimately, happiness is a choice. Suffering is optional in our roles. But it's ultimately up to me, and it's just as much up to you. So folks, have a blessed afternoon. Thank you for giving me your time for an hour, and let's enjoy the rest of our day. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Brad. I'm looking forward to that toga party later on. Got an invite?
Oh, I'd love one. I got the sheets.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Well, you'll be pleased to hear it is that time of the day. I thought I could hear a few stomachs rumbling at the back. It's lunchtime, so we've got food prepared for you by the chefs here at County Hall. So if you head out that way, you'll find some delicious foods. And we are going to be kicking back off at 1:15. So if you can be back in your seats by about 10 past, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch.